Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds. Today we're talking about 20 commanders.
The most hated commanders.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. We're bringing you daily commander content. Every single day of your life until you die, you'll be able to go on YouTube and find a Nitpicking Nerds video. If you want to support us, best way to do that is Patreon. There's a link in the description just for you.
Yes, head over to the Patreon links. It's a way to support us directly, literally the best way to support us. Other ways to support us, you can use the TCG Player affiliate link. That will take you to tcgplayer.com, and guess what? Once you're there, you buy whatever Magic cards you were going to buy anyway because you play Magic, and guess what? We get a kickback on the order, meaning you buy the cards you wanted, and we're going to buy anyway, and we get supported. We appreciate that. You do the same exact thing with Dragon Shield. Best sleeves in the multiverse, good sleeves. And also, I believe, toughest scales. Is that
They're phasing that one out.
Yeah, they're phasing. They're phasing toughest scales out because good sleeves. I mean, you really can't.
Heard that one?
You really can't beat that. Best sleeves in the multiverse. Go get those sleeves on DragonShield.com, and guess what? You get them for the same price you get them when you buy them in the store. But guess what? Again, supporting the nerds.
Solid strategy. This time we have 20 commanders. We delved into our Discord and said, "What's your most hated commander? What's the least fun commander to play against for you?" And then we got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of answers. Filtered through them. These are pretty much the 20 biggest offenders.
Yeah, these are the commanders that people just don't like playing against for one reason or another. It can be whether it's super powerful, uninteractive, or just it's literally anything and everything in between there. Whatever their reasons were, they didn't really give too many reasons. The whole point was you just give us commanders, and obviously we can infer the reasons.
We talk about it.
We actually understand commander, and we can infer why you might not like these commanders. I want to start with this one. The one that, literally was mentioned, not even close, the most. When we added everyone in the Discord, here's how it went. It went Turgid, random commander, Turgid, random commander, Turgid, for like 5 straight minutes. Every third recommendation for most hated commander was Turgid. And this card isn't fun to play against. It really is not. It's simple. If it hits the battlefield and then a plethora of like 20 different spells, any one of them resolves after she hits the battlefield, the game ends. But it doesn't end. That's the actual issue here. The game doesn't end. It is just you're so far behind that you either scoop and the game ends prematurely, or you don't scoop and you play a game where the resources are ridiculously unbalanced for a majority of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those combos that people, they go off and they go, "Yeah, I'm going to try to do this, but it's not a strict loop. I'm going to have to do every single iteration of it." And you're just like, "No, I'm not interested in that. I'd rather just leave."
Yeah.
So that this just ends up being like 2-card game over a lot of the time.
I usually just scoop the Turgid because the point, I don't want to be stuck in this long drawn-out game where, yeah, the Turgid player is 90% to win, but I don't want to have to, the overcoming it is going to be not fun. The way I play against Turgid is whenever I draw my first removal spell, I basically set it to the side here. And then as soon as Turgid hits, I'm like, all right, here's that removal spell I've been saving this whole time.
I'll sacrifice board development to hold up counterspell all day against Turgid. You just kind of have to. I don't have a problem playing against it, except I do understand that it's like the games can just go, all right, want to go again?
Yeah, even if you, like a lot of players might not care about playing against it, but it is a very linear commander where the same thing happens every game. And it leads to the same board states and the same long, drawn-out games that either you scoop to or you just don't have fun.
Maybe I should rephrase. I don't mind playing against any commander that's ever been printed, but obviously some of them are less fun than others.
Yes.
The next one is really similar to Turgid, actually, and it's very old. It is one of the oldest, most hated commanders. Narset, Enlightened Master. It's this hexproof nonsense guy. Well, I guess she's a girl, but she comes down, and then when she attacks, you're going to chain extra turn spells and extra combat spells off the top of your library. And this is another one. It doesn't require another card. It requires another turn. If you get the other turn, it's like, hey, I'm going to take a lot of turns. Is it infinite? No, I have no idea. Am I going to win? Probably. Do you want to sit through it? Definitely not.
Yeah, it's really, really long and drawn out. Like you said, this is a 6-mana commander. But I think the thing that takes us from okay, this is an annoying little combo where you're going to hit, you make it unblockable, you keep hitting, you keep getting extra turns, you keep doing extra things. This card's not interactable. It has hexproof, so your spot removal just isn't online against it, and that takes us from a point of yeah, it's unfun and you have to kill it to it's unfun, and I have to board wipe now because we didn't have a counter spell. Like, wow, that stinks.
It's counterspell, board wipe, or sacrifice, and that's all you. You know what? You need your Turgid deck to make him sacrifice the Narset.
Oh wow, so Turgid and Narset. You know what? I agree. Anyone playing a Turgid in a Narset deck, they should meet up and they should have a ton of fun together.
That should be a pod. We'll just get 5 pods together with these 20 commanders. That would be amazing. The next one of the more recent, I don't know what to say, hated commanders. I don't want to throw any words at poor old Urza because he's just trying to make a construct. He's like, I'm going to make a construct, and now all your artifacts tap for blue. And that's amazing. It just ends up being insane. He's the enabler, he's the payoff, and he goes really well with stacks pieces.
Well, I mean, I think one of the biggest issues is Urza's literal best card in his deck is always Winter Orb. It's always Winter Orb. The fact is he interacts so favorably with that magic card that it just makes for this horribly miserable deck 90% of the time. And if you build your Urza deck optimally, it will not be fun for your opponents. And that's fine. I think that the commander is well designed and is very strong. But the real issue is that it just interacts with certain cards in ways that make the game unfun.
Yeah, I mean, there's questions of like, I think a lot of people won't even play Winter Orb just out of principle. So that's a little bit different. But I think Urza in general is just really annoying. If he's out, your turn is probably the length of it is doubled. I've had Urza out plenty of times, and it's like, I have too much to do. What am I supposed to do? Not do it? And it just ends up kind of dominating the game a little bit.
Yeah, he spins the wheels.
Oh my god, yeah. It's like, I drew a mana rock. Okay, well, I drew Wayfarer's Bauble. Well, it taps for mana now. So what else can I do?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll spin Urza. Let me shuffle my deck real quick.
All right. Up next, a pair of commanders, AC and Tatiova. Okay, this is just simple for me. Our friend has an AC deck.
Ken.
It's kind of the same thing every single game. You play your commander, you play lands, you play ramp, you draw cards, you play lands, you draw cards, you play ramp, you draw cards, and you mill yourself out, or you eventually draw your whole deck and win, or the game drags out, your turns end up taking forever. It's a very long, drawn-out commander. That's kind of how this plays, and it's not the fault of like the player who wants to play it. It's one of these commanders where if you build the best AC deck, when you build the best Tatiova deck, they're not fun, and that's just the way they play. They take a long time, and they draw a ton of cards.
So when your ramp and your card draw overlap, like, there's normally a Venn diagram, and some of them overlap, but they're the same circle in these decks, which means you get to play way more ramp, which means you're always on board turns 2, 3, 4. You're never playing these behind curve or on curve. They're way ahead of the curve. So the game just goes, I'm always having AC or Tatiova in play, and because I have so much ramp, I don't really worry about if they get killed because I can replay them 2, 3, 4 times with no problem, especially AC because it's like, oh, here's an extra land drop right away. So when Cultivate draws you 2 cards and Sky Shroud Claim costs like 0 mana and just draws you 1,000,000 cards, it's going to get overwhelming for the player because they have so many resources.
Yeah, it is ridiculous amount of resources. AC is just insane. I mean, the fact that it gives you an extra land drop, that card is bonkers.
Good card.
If you're ever wondering, we talk about how we don't like Cultivate a lot. These are the decks where you like Cultivate.
Here you go.
This deck, Tatiova and AC, they love Cultivate.
Yeah, because they want that extra land in hand. It's basically like 2 in play, and then also Harrow and all of those buddies, Spring Bloom Druid, they just get nuts.
Is it a land in the hand is worth 2 on the field?
Yes. Next is another classic that I personally don't actually have a problem with, but I do see the argument. Send triplets. They're kind of stealing cards from somebody's hand. You got to pick somebody on your upkeep to bully, and then you're going to take their cards, play their stuff. You have a bunch of ways to make rainbow mana, so you can cast whatever they got to offer. It's kind of mean. I don't think it's that good. Like, I don't think this is a very good card, but it's definitely a mean card.
Yeah, one of the main things is it locks a player from playing spells in your turn. So, like, what you end up doing is you target the most interactive deck at the table. You say, hey, you're the deck that's got 5 mana up. I choose you. And then what they do is you no longer can interact in their turn. They can do whatever they want with their hand and your hand, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah, it can definitely be annoying. It feels like targeting because it literally, like, you target. It doesn't work for everybody. I don't know. That might make it less fun anyway, but this card is a classic blemish on the format for a lot of people, and they hate it.
Yeah, it's a very old commander that's been around. It's been around since Alara.
Since I started playing.
Yeah. Literally been around forever, and it's a boogeyman of the format. Like, I think nowadays you don't see it as much, and it's not even as crazy as it was, because when cards weren't designed for Commander, when a card happened to be insane in Commander, well, guess what? That was a big deal.
Yes, it definitely was. So let's move on. What is the next one?
Well, it's Coma. Okay, this one's weird to me. I don't even think Coma is very good, but I can understand where it's coming from. If you're in a format where a lot of the removal is destruction, okay, this card's hard to remove. It does create 12 power every single go around the table, and any potential threats to it that can attack through it or block it are getting tapped down. So I can see why this one was fun. This one was interesting to me because, like, this is one that I wouldn't if I saw Coma across the table, I'd be like, all right, what are we doing here? Okay, let's play against that. Let's go.
What Coma does is it dominates the board, and not all of the game takes place on the board. A lot of it is in hand, or if critical mass combos or even just regular 2-card, 3-card combos are going to take people out, Coma's not going to have a big impact on the game at all. But if he's your commander and you're in this like slogging out creature, maybe light board wipe meta, Coma's going to absolutely dominate. So I'm imagining it's coming from that side.
Yeah, and on board, a meta where everything gets on board and there's no board wipes, or even if there is.
If there is, doesn't matter.
Yeah, Coma kind of survives those. He's kind of strong like that. Up next, we have Derevi. This is a classic, hated commander. He's the stacks commander. He's the one that works with stasis in an insane way.
Winter orbs again.
He's a stacks commander, and he can be played in other ways. I've seen him played as bird tribal before, but the main thing is that he's not a bird tribal. He loves stacks pieces. He's a stack, and when you build a deck that way, obviously no one enjoys playing against it.
It's also just the design of the card. They were trying some things out, and there's another one on this list later that comes, but they just completely screwed up this design. Turns out the whole point of Commander is there's tension between casting or not casting your commander. Tax. Ooh, should I play it now? Will it get killed? And Derevi's like, I'll just come back for 4. It just literally doesn't have tax. Such a weird, hated ability that they did. So I think even without that, it just ends up being like, hey, this is a decent card that can never die. It just comes back with flash, too.
Yeah, it's just an activated ability that can be activated at any time. So like you said, you can just put it in whenever while holding up interaction. So
yeah, really weird. So it just leads to like some toxic play patterns maybe.
Yeah, Derevi's, it's just not a great design, and it's one... in order to take advantage of its ability in a really reasonable way, you have to be doing something cheeky or unfair.
Yeah, or maybe unfun. Next, this is one of the worst designs ever. It's Tulane. We hate on Tulane every chance we get, and this is no exception. He cast a creature spell, draw a card, put a land from your hand into play, and he's got more words. He can even bounce himself if you need to. Blech, I hate this card.
This wasn't even our choice. Yeah, we didn't even decide this list. This was purely decided by our Discord, and Tulane made it onto here.
Shocker.
Tulane is just a card that you can't not win with. If he stays out, it reminds me of kind of like Turgid, where it's like, if this card hits the battlefield and they start doing their thing, it's infinite value because he draws cards, puts lands in play, draws cards, put lands in play. Okay, now we kill Tulane. All right, I'll play Tulane. Draw cards, put lands in play.
Well, it's like Urza plus AC. It's like you're getting extra lands, but then the creatures are basically more lands, and you just keep drawing cards, and you never run out of things to do, especially if your deck is like skewed more towards the higher power. But even we've had our friends, I don't know if we've told the story recently, but we've had a friend, back when Tulane came out, he was like, well, I like this card. I'm going to try to build like a jankier deck because I know it's really good. Didn't matter. Even our lower power that we were going for, it was still the best deck.
Yeah, that's all it ended up doing. It's just, no matter how you build this deck, it's insane and runs away with the game because of how powerful it is within itself.
I guess you could build it with no creatures. I would like to see that deck.
That doesn't sound like a fun deck. Tulane would just be a 3/5 with vigilance.
No, now you can start unsummoning creatures. Wow.
Woo! What a card.
Next.
It's Zur the Enchanter. Another one that, it wasn't designed for Commander, and this is back when there weren't a lot designed for Commander, but he was great within the format. Turns out cards like Necropotence exist, and then there's, stacks pieces. That's the main... He tends to be a stacks commander because every time he attacks, he gets whatever stack piece is best for you right now.
And I think almost everyone at some point in their life has had the feel-bad moment of, all right, they're attacking with Zur. Let's see what they get. Oh, now Zur has Hexproof or Shroud. It's like, no, I can't kill it. Well, it's like, and you're just punching yourself because you're upset that you missed your window. I think a lot of the annoyance on Zur is actually directed at Necropotence because that is the joke of the format, aside from like Soul Ring and Mana Crypt, of like, why are we allowed to play with this? I don't know. It also gets Rhystic Study, Stony Silence, so like, if you let it resolve, you just can't tap your artifacts for mana. Or you're trying to play something in a turn, you just can't. So many, I was going to do something plays, but now it doesn't work. So I guess I'm just going to do nothing.
Up next, we have Garak T. One of the things about Garak T that I think really annoys people is he kind of goes against what people want a lot. Okay, not what everyone wants, but what a lot of people want out of this format, and that's playing big, splashy spells. Well, if they're non-creatures or they're X spells, you're just stuck. You cannot cast those big, splashy spells, and he just locks things out. I've made a Garak T deck, and guess what? I've had people just hate playing against it.
People got mad at you. Mm-hmm. People got way madder than I thought they would get, because I was like, all right, let's go and play against Garak T. And I was surprised at how annoyed people actually were. It shuts off most of the board wipes. It shuts off maybe a lot of the things that could interact with him. So if you're not a heavy spot removal deck, and even some of the spot removal just won't hit him, like, Deadly Rollick is a 0-mana spell, but it costs 4, so you can't cast it.
Yeah, same thing with Snuff Out.
Right, exactly.
Same kind of problem. Yeah, I think it's just the thing is people want to just play and cast their spells. This is a Hate Bears commander, which is very similar to Stack. They just want to play, cast their spells, have fun, they want their deck to do their thing, and Stacks and Hate Bears just don't allow that. And having one of those in the command zone, wow, that's simple.
Yeah, Garak T doesn't say you can do something. It says people can't do something. It just takes away from what is allowable at the game. Next, another one of the worst designs of all time. Edgar Markov, just Eminence in general, was a mistake. I mean, Laura was close to making this list. That was like the first edition. Everyone hated it. And they're like, let's do 4 more. And this one is like the go-to vampire tribal, because what else are you supposed to play? What are they going to make that's better than this?
Yeah, Edgar's completely bonkers. This card is stupidly strong. You just get 1/1s whenever you cast a vampire. Wow, that was easy. They're just free extra vampires in your vampire deck. Do whatever you see fit with them. The fact is, you don't have to play them. And guess what? Even if you do play him, he's still good. He still does something awesome.
Yeah, he's like if you got nothing better to do, he's an Anthem. And he's an extra, a couple power swinging in. It's not like Edgar's busted, because Vampire Tribal can only be so good. I think it's just a lot of people are frustrated at this one. It restricts other deck choices if you want to build a cool vampire deck because you like vampires. It's kind of like the only 3-color one, so you want to play the white vampires and you want to play the red vampires. How else is he supposed to do that?
Yeah, he's uninteresting because he forces you into. You have to make up an excuse to not play him. Right. I don't want to play the most powerful commander. I don't want to play all 3 colors. I don't want to do the best things I can do with vampires. And that's sad, because we should just have other choices instead of just Edgar.
Yeah, I think Edgar's one of the most annoying here off the battlefield. Like in deck building, he's annoying.
Yeah.
You built this deck too, Cherries, and this is another one that is a design mistake. What do we got?
It's Yuriko, the Tiger Shadow. This one has Commander Ninjutsu for blue and a black, but that's an ability, meaning that Commander text does not apply. You can always Commander Ninjutsu it for a blue and a black. The whole deck is, I hit you with ninjas, I flip the top cards, they're all giant spells, you die. And you kill my commander, it doesn't matter. I'm attacking you with 2 1/1s. You kill my commander in combat, doesn't matter. I'll just ninjutsu it back in, because that's how silly the card really is.
I've had people do that, or I've seen people do that to you so many times. Yeah. It's like, oh, we got to kill Yuriko. It's like, no, you can't. This is a weird card. You have to kill everything else. You literally have to leave Yuriko in play by herself. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, I remember I attack with 2 1/1s, and they go, okay, they go through. All right, Ninjutsu Yuriko, Swords to Plowshare. Okay, Ninjutsu Yuriko.
Whee!
Wow, that's how that works. That's actually how that works. That's a great commander card.
Cool.
It's not fun because of the lack of commander tax. If when you killed this, it costs 4 to commander Ninjutsu, okay, now we're talking about
completely different.
Super fair. And like, this card just drains players out so fast. Sometimes they just, all right, flip 13. All right, you each take 13 damage.
Well, another thing is, do you know what spells cost a lot of mana and are good with Yuriko? Extra turn spells. Nobody wants to sit here while you take 10 extra turns, but that's the best way to play this, because you can chain them. There's combos with, City Streams, where you discard your hand and then you tutor that many to the top.
At least that ends the game.
Well, it does, but it's like, all right, I'll hit you with Yuriko and 3 ninjas. Hey, look, it's Temporal Trespass, Nexus of Fate, and Time Stretch. Like, oh, jeez.
I think that at least that game's over. That game,
probably over.
That game is 100% over. It's more of the like, all right, flip off the top, Temporal Trespass, cast it, hit you again, flip a 2. You guys each take 2, but I have another extra turn spell.
In my hand.
Attack you again. Yeah, it's just like, ooh.
There's that, but then it's also, you can go ninja, Yuriko, Insidious Streams, and the game's over on turn 4.
Yeah.
So that can happen too.
Yeah, totally a plausible thing to happen. Next, we're moving on to a brand. This is the newest commander on here. Period.
This one surprised me.
He's literally from 2 sets ago. It is Toxo.
It's from this set.
Wait, is he from
Crimson Vow.
Oh, he is from Crimson Vow. I was thinking he was from Midnight Hunt.
No, it's a complete mega bomb.
It's a mega bomb from Crimson Vow. So Toxo, the corrosive, is just a slug that puts slime counters and everything. It's -1 for each slime counter, but it gets to each end stop. This just wipes the board. And I think the reason this one got mentioned so much is it's brand spanking new, and people are seeing it a lot.
People are trying it.
Yeah, when you're playing at your LGS, it's like, okay, this is a new commander. This is a popular commander. It's a sweet design. Let's see how it goes. But I think what ends up happening is 7 mana guy comes down, and then if he survives a go-around, he wipes everyone's board. He makes 1,000 slugs, and the game is just so tilted in their favor. It's like, all right, I'll kill it. This still has 4 slime counters. If he plays it next turn, it just goes back to having -4, -4.
This actually seems like the same exact issue people were having with Coma. In the board state heavy meta, it just dominates the entire board by itself. It is the #1 thing. The slime counters stay, like you said, so when they play it again, oops, you guys are still dead or still shrunk. It provides a bunch of chump blockers. And also, the blue is like that added little like dagger, because now they can, like with Coma, they can hold up counter magic and all this stuff to protect their Tox roll while everything else just withers away and dies.
Yeah, I think Toxo is a lot better than Coma, because like he's not just creating you a board state, he is destroying their board state and creating your board state. He's doing both, and you can't play anything into this.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like if you have anything with 4 toughness or lower, and you pass the turn, it's dead before your next go around. It will not be on your battlefield. You cannot play anything with 4 toughness or lower if you're not going to be killing this.
You're going to play that Oracle of Moldiah? It's not really worth it. You just won't advance your board states this turn.
It's literally everything.
Yeah.
It's like most cards in Commander have 4 or less toughness.
Oh, Esper Sentinel. That's not going to get any value.
You just can't. It's literally everything's stuck in your hand. Everything is stuck in your hand until Toxel is gone.
Yeah, so if they're backing it up with counter magic, I'm personally don't really care about the Coma thing. But this one I might see.
Yeah.
I might understand this one. I haven't played against it yet, but in my head, it's like, oof. You got to kill that Tox roll.
If you can't answer it and you're a creature-based deck, you're done. You're done playing the game. You can't do anything.
Because unlike Coma, Tox roll can interact. It interacts. It doesn't just say, I do this. It says, you can't do this. So it's going to be stopping a lot of the other combos and maybe things that are resting in the hands. So unlike Coma, this one might be stronger because it's preventing even critical mass things from getting going.
You can't. I can't even stress it enough. I said it like 3 times. You don't get to play if you're a creature-based deck.
Yeah.
If you cannot answer this, you cannot play the game, because if you play any 4 toughness or lower creature, it will die before your turn starts again.
Yep.
That is completely insane.
Silly.
Up next is a representation of the 5-color good stuff commander. It's Kenrith, the Returned King. It's pretty simple. People don't like to play against 5-color good stuff, and that's all these decks tend to be. Now, are there fun, cool, unique Kenrith decks that just want to play 5 colors and need a commander to support it? Of course, there's plenty of those awesome decks. Just like there used to be plenty of those awesome decks with Golos. But there's so many 5-color good stuff. It's just, I have Force of Will, I have Blasphemous Act, I have Toxic Deluge. Name the best spells in the whole format. I have
Dockside Extortionist.
Necropotence. I have Rhystic Study.
Mystic Remora. They're all here.
Smothering Tithe. Literally.
You're just playing against every best card instead of 5 or 6 best cards.
Yeah, it's not just the best cards in the color. Well, it is the best cards in the color.
All of them.
It's all the colors, so it's the best cards in the format.
Still got to worry about Soul Ring. Maybe they have a Mana Crypt or something. And with Kenrith, they always have Biomancer's Familiar, Zerda, the Dawn Waker, and Training Grounds in their deck, so they're going to be spamming Kenrith activations when they get enough mana. I thought, personally, I didn't like Kenrith. I dislike Kenrith more than Golos. I thought Golos was just completely a normal Magic card, and that's not what this video is about. But Kenrith is now the new face of good stuff.
Yeah, he's the good stuff commander from here on until they make a new good stuff commander.
All right, would I ban Kenrith? Never in a million years.
Yes.
All right, these cards always get lumped together, but we talked about Tulane, so we got to talk about Corevold. Enabler plus payoff equals unexciting gameplay, to say the least. It allows you to do a lot of different things. It works super well with treasures, so this leads to just long, drawn-out turns where they go, oh, yeah, I can draw 3 more cards. Oh, but I can sacrifice my fetch land, and then, oh, this enchantment lets me sacrifice my lands, so now after my lands are tapped, I'll be still sacking them to draw more cards. Oh, whenever I sacrifice a permanent, I trigger Mayhem Devil, so let me see what I want to ping off, and it's just never the turn takes forever.
Yeah, Corevold is incredibly strong. Much like Tulane, it just doesn't matter what you do with this card. It has a slight more build around, like Dynamic, but guess what? The payoff is much higher. This one is completely bonkers on the side of payoff. You can draw 10 cards a turn as opposed... Like, drawing 10 cards a turn with Tulane is a little tough.
You gotta spend mana.
You really gotta spend mana and keep turning the wheels. No. Corevold just said, did you play Dockside Extortionist? Draw 10 cards! Woo!
And you have 10 mana now!
Yeah, what a great... It's just like, there's 1.5 million, like, stupid ways to just make little tiny guys all over the battlefield. There's 1 million ways to sacrifice them, which means you're drawing cards. And in the decks that are playing Corevold, I don't know if you guys know this, but sacrificing is not a downside.
It's an upside.
It's upside. Yeah, so when you get an upside, get more upside. That's what he says, and that makes this card insane.
Right. So when I play Verdant Catacombs, I get back my Bloodghast. Okay. Sack it. Get a thing. Oh, sack my Catacombs. Oh, I'll get Bloodghast back. Oh, I'll sack everything else over again. Just that little tiny interaction where you played a land just got you like 5 cards.
Yeah. That's the whole deck.
Yeah.
Every single card in Corevold does that kind of stuff.
It does. I think that it was pretty egregious that they put whenever it attacks or enters, you get a free sacrifice in case you don't have a sack outlet. That to me just makes me irritated at this card. Where like if it just said the first text, like still a really good card, probably still pretty annoying, but I hate the design as it is.
The funniest thing is it's probably like the slightest notch worse without that.
It's just insulting to me that they were like, no, here it is anyway.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even have to get there. Just we'll give it to you.
Yeah, we'll give you some. Next is Lord Windgrace. There's a couple reasons for this, I think. We hadn't had a really strong like Jund Lands Matter commander, so that deck is good. So you've already got a good deck to deal with, but Lord Windgrace is a planeswalker who brings back lands from the graveyard, and that made a lot of players think of, oh, Yako Hops. Great. I'll blow up all lands, get 2 back right away. My Planeswalker's still here. I'm going to do it again next turn, and everyone else is dead because that's miserable because also the game's not over.
Yeah, the game isn't over. Something about Lord Windgrace also on top of like blowing up all lands is that he's an insane value commander. Yeah. He loves board wipes in general. It doesn't matter if you're wiping lands.
It's true.
The fact is you just get you plus discard a land, draw 2 cards. Then, you bring back 2 lands next turn. And then you wipe the board. And now you still have your commander and nobody's got anything on board. He's not being pressured. All right, let's just keep the value engine going over and over again. Got 2 fetch lands. Guess what? I can just keep getting those lands back over and over again every single turn. And because this is actually something that it reminds me of Golos. Because he is a commander that continually ramps you, he pays his own tax off so quickly and so easily that you can't keep him off the battlefield.
Yeah, there's definitely some things you can string together, like, I have 9 mana Windgrace. Oh, here's a Blasphemous Act. 7 mana Windgrace. Here's a Toxic Deluge, same turn. My Windgrace is going to survive till next turn. Let's go. And then guess what? His minus pays for his next tax.
Yeah, he's a very strong, and I think he is a well-designed commander. I don't want to hate on this card as this was a poor design, but the way he plays from time to time just it leads to some unfun lines where it's just okay, how do we ever stop Windgrace? He's just wiping the board every turn because why would my Windgrace deck not play 10 board wipes in it?
Yeah, exactly. I like this card. It might even be one of the most fun ones on this list. But hey, the community has spoken. Next, number 18 out of 20, it's Zakama, Primal Calamity. Now this is not an egregious commander, but it certainly is in the Coma Tox roll range where it comes out on the board, refunds you all your mana, and now you don't have to do anything else. Just dominate the board with Zakama. No troublesome artifacts and enchantments can stay around. The life gain is something, if you're low on life, you'll just start recuperating it slowly, and then it wipes all the little creatures. Even 2 activations can take out a big creature.
Yeah, I think it's a fair comparison to Toxo, but at least with this one, it costs mana. Mm-hmm. I know he refunds himself, but so they have to keep putting the mana in. So it's if I have a 6/6, they have to put 6 mana in to destroy it. Now,
totally.
I'll be annoyed, and it's going to be frustrating losing all of the best stuff I play for the turn if I can't answer Zakama. But at least unlike Toxo, I can actually play the game, and they have to spend mana to stop me.
Yeah, they're in Naya colors. They're not going to hold up too many counter spell effects on you. It does have some infinite combos, so you have to worry about that. I think it's like Toxo. Would you put Coma next or Zakama next? Zakama, Coma. For board state dominating cards.
Yeah, absolute complete domination of the board state. The other thing about Zakama is you don't have to play anything else. You can just keep a hand with 3 lands, 4 ramp spells, and you don't care because Zakama does so much.
Yeah, it's got the removal aspect on it. You don't have to go as hard in it. If you just go harder in ramp, you'll always have Zakama in play. And if you tap 15 mana for it, well, it still untaps all your lands, so the tax is not that bad.
Yeah. So moving on, we have, wow, this is a classic beloved, actually banned in one-on-one commander. Beloved, people love to hate it is, I guess, what I meant to say.
Okay.
It's Brawl, Chief of Compliance. He's one of the most counterspell commanders anyone's ever seen in their entire life. He has incentive. He wants you to counter spells because he makes you loot after you do that.
I think it's more of the deck, more of the mindset. I think Brawl is a fair, pretty innocuous card. It just has it just says counter on it. And that means if you want to build the counter spell, the draw go deck, well, you got a couple options, Talrand, Brawl, whatever else. And they all end up just being the kind of like the messenger when you really hate the message, which is counter all your spells.
Yeah, exactly. And Brawl, making them all cost 1 less just makes him that much better. He takes all of your arcane denials and makes him 1 mana, meaning that you get to play this on turn. You play this thing on turn 3 and hold up a counter spell to protect him. That's frustrating for a lot of players.
Yeah, because if you tell a table, I have counter magic, so don't target Brawl and I won't counter your spell. So then everyone goes like, I don't want this counter. I don't want to waste my whole turn. I'll blow this up. And then Brawl player's like sniveling in the corner.
He's sniveling?
No, sniveling's bad. He's what's a Brawl player doing? Cackling in the corner.
Yeah, that makes a lot more
Sniveling's
sense.
like.
Yeah, he's not sniveling.
Now we need a snivel emote.
Does it make that? I don't know what snivels sound like, but I don't think it's that. What's the last one, BC?
There's only one left, and it's actually five cards. It is Ulamog, the Infinite Gyro, Pulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, Kozilek, the Great Distortion, and Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, and bonus, Emrakul, the Promised End. They're all gigantic, colorless ramp monsters that will annihilate at least one player upon attack.
Yeah, I mean, Annihilation. The two with Annihilator, I mean, that's pretty obvious why Annihilator is unfun. If I have to,
Yeah, I didn't mean literal annihilate, I meant figurative.
well, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, the ability Annihilator is one of the least fun abilities ever printed on Magic cards. I mean, the term is correct. You annihilate the player you attack. It's completely just they pretty much have to scoop because the card just crushes them so hard.
What's crazy is I didn't even think it looked that crazy. I was just like, oh, okay, that's probably decent, but it plays so much better than it looks because you're like, what if they have extra permanence? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Then they don't have extra permanence.
They want the extra permanence, so you're messing with them either way. The Annihilator ones, obviously, goes without saying, if you play them on turn 4 and then smack somebody, they're out of the game entirely. Emrakul the Promised End, if you control somebody's turn any reasonable point in the game past turn 7, they're probably out of the game. You can really mess them up. Least of which, you literally just play their commander and just put it somewhere else. Oh, I'll sacrifice it. It's in the graveyard now.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll exile it. It's an exile.
Yeah, all the Titans they're all just big colorless ramp decks. That's all they do. They ramp to these big, giant, ridiculous threats that are hard to remove, hard to interact with, and just overall not fun to see on the opposite side of the battlefield.
Right. I mean, we've talked about the 3 of them, but then you have the other Ulamog, which is hard to interact with because it's indestructible, and it can mess with your library if it attacks a couple times. And then Kozilek, which has counter magic backup, so it's super hard to interact with. And that one clocks you twice, and you're dead.
Yeah, exactly. So as you can, I think people understand that the Titans aren't the most fun commanders.
Yeah, it goes without saying. They weren't really designed to be fun. They were designed to be awesome.
They were designed to be powerful. Yes, but that is our video. Special shoutouts to all of our patrons. Love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. You guys are awesome.
Yes, there's a link for you in the description. It's TCG Player. You go there, you buy the cards. Then when you check out, hear me out, stay with me. We get a kickback on the order without you spending any extra money. And now you have cards because TCG Player is sending them to you within a reasonable time. Go to the Dragon Shield EU or US link in the description. Good sleeves, best sleeves in the multiverse, to buy the cards, the sleeves for the cards you just bought. I was caught off guard because our 2 slogans of best sleeves in the multiverse and good sleeves are contradictory.
Best sleeves in the multiverse, good sleeves. I mean, they're not contradictory.
It's are they good or are they the best?
Well, the best sleeves in the multiverse, okay, could also be described as good sleeves.
Right. So maybe good's here and best is up here, but they both fall good or above.
Yeah, that's fair. So it's your turn for a tidbit about our life speed.
Oh, okay. I got this one. This is a special custom order tidbit. There are two sauces that people were talking about in our Facebook group chat. There's the Chick-fil-A sauce, and then there's the Swiss chalet sauce. Oh. Now, there's a lot of controversy in our group because a lot of people hate trying to get this right, Swiss chalet sauce. They said it was like sewer water or something.
It's gross. It's not good. I mean,
it's really watery.
I've had Swiss chalet once in my entire life, and I tried the sauce. I'm like, all right, this is being hyped. It's dishwater with gravy flavor.
It tastes really like I'm trying to remember. I feel like it tastes just kind of like sugary or sweet, whatever that word is.
Ugh,
and it doesn't
savory.
taste, maybe just savory, where I'm like, what is this? And I guess I'll put it on stuff, but I'm not going to like die for it. Our friend Jamie, shout out to Jamie, really, really likes the Swiss chalet sauce. And then we're going to the other side of the spectrum. Tim is big on the Chick-fil-A sauce. Now, I think I've only had the Chick-fil-A sauce once. You've had it more.
Chick-fil-A is great. I mean, Chick-fil-A is, great. Okay. Chick-fil-A is great from the sense of a perspective of I like the way their food tastes.
From the sense of the perspective, in my opinion, and I like 85 caveats.
Yeah, well,
Chick-fil-A has good food.
You have to caveat Chick-fil-A.
They have good food.
And bad people who own it. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.
I will never get sponsored by Chick-fil-A.